when a nation declares war, they have to declare war on another entity. And so we declared war on the entity of the Taliban because they were hiding Osama bin Laden. But the Taliban is not an entity in the same way that the United States is as a nation. And so they would recruit people called insurgents, which are not official U.S. Official soldiers with from a nation state. The Taliban is just guys with guns. Those are insurgents, and so our U.S. guys that are trained like Marines or the people in the Army and the Navy that go out, they want to hunt the bad guys. Well, who's the bad guy if they all look like civilians? It's the guy who picks up a gun. And so all throughout the Afghanistan war, they didn't know exactly who they were fighting. And then it changes into this thing called nation building, which we should have avoided because the military is not there to build into a nation and get people to start thinking like democracies. That never was going to work. And, we just need to look back at the Soviet-Afghan war in the 80s. That was a huge reason why the Soviet Union collapsed and lost. And the U.S. just repeated the same mistake. Let's switch over to the timeline between 9/11 and the invasion of Iraq in 2003. Pre 9/11, the background there, in 1991, this thing called the Gulf War ends. Saddam Hussein remains in power under strict sanctions and UN weapons inspections. In the late 1990s, U.S. neoconservatives push for something called regime change in Iraq. In 2000, George W. Bush is elected president with several hawkish advisors. Hawkish means that these people believe it's a good thing to go to war, and in their minds it's going to be better for the nation, better for the world. People like Cheney, Rumsfeld, Wolfowitz. Post 9/11, there's a strategic shift. On September 11, 2001, Al-Qaeda attacks the U.S., but Saddam Hussein, the leader of Iraq, is not directly involved in any of this. From September 12 to September 17, in that 5-day period, the Bush administration begins exploring links between Iraq and Al-Qaeda, despite lack of clear evidence. In October and December 2001, some in the administration, especially Rumsfeld and Wolfowitz, argue that Iraq could be the next target in the war on terror. They wanted to go to war, so this was their justification for it. In 2002, laying the groundwork, January 29, 2002, George W. Bush gives this speech that's now famous. It's called The Axis of Evil, where he, in this speech, and I remember seeing this in real time, he lumps Iraq with Iran and North Korea. Sorry, Iran is the proper way to say it. So Iran and Iraq had been at war with each other. But in Bush's speech, we combined all them together. And then we lumped them in against North Korea as well. In summer 2002, intelligence pushed linking Iraq to weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, and Al-Qaeda ties, later shown to be inaccurate or overstated. This is a very bad thing for our nation. People blame George W. Bush for getting us into war, but he had to react and do something. He listened to his advisors. His advisors wanted to go to war. They didn't need that much justification. Things were said, and I specifically remember Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel testify in front of the Senate and Congress that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction. So that turned out to not be true. but it was felt to be true at the time, and then history happened, and unfortunate things happened. So I'm just explaining, it is what it is, right? This is history. In October 2002, Congress passes resolution authorizing the use of force against Iraq if it does not disarm. And then in 2003, March 17, Bush issues a final ultimatum to Saddam Hussein to leave Iraq. March 19 to 20, the U.S. launches Operation Iraqi Freedom, beginning the invasion. In summary, for Afghanistan, there was a direct, fast response to harboring al-Qaeda after 9/11. With Iraq, there was an indirect, more controversial. It was fueled by fear of WMDs and ambition for regime change and post 9/11 mindset of preemptive war.